Cool, cool. Probably could have done this ahead of time. Make it even more bigger. Big letters. Oh, too many big. Oh man, goose, 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 goose. Spoiler alert. We're not gonna meet the goose. In this run. I should probably learn what the actual like process of submitting speed runs for official websites is. So I have spent a lot of time mapping this out. Tuesday, I was home sick from work and kind of just slept in bed all day. And when I wasn't sleeping, I'd peck away at the game. So I ended up figuring out all but like 2 of the recipes. So I had like I think 469 recipes, which is nice. And so I kind of just copied and pasted that into a text file and have been kind of slowly reverse engineering to try to find the quickest path through the game. I don't know if this is like an optimal path, but for for one of the components you need for the end of the game, I think I've found the fastest path, and I think it's the critical path. So I don't know how much more optimization you can really do. Cool. It says it in big letters on the screen, but also, if for some reason you haven't played this game yet, I I don't want this silly thing to ruin that experience for you or color it or don't 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 watch it. Don't like and subscribe. Log off. And Cool. So, and also, I think for the sake of this, I'm gonna start when I hit the letter, and then to end it, I think it should end when the last item has decayed. I think that's kind of what makes the most sense to me for when to end it. Cool. Yeah, let's play a video game real fast. 1, 2, 3, go. Go. Oh. Hello, Everest. Thank you for making this good game. so there's gonna be parts where it's like real boring later on because we're waiting for coffee to brew. I've got a little book of David Berman's poems. We might read some poems while we wait for the coffee to brew. Alright, so the first thing we want to do is piss 4 times. Alright, now we want to piss 19 more times. And then we're going to spit 14 times. Oh no, we're dead. We're going to dream. Wait. We're going to mushroom 9 times. And dream. I think we only need to dream 6, but I'm going to give myself 1 extra. And then... Coffee house, blocky. The blueprints are discovered. You push. Wake up. So we're on spit, so... and then we only cry 7 times. Oh. Crumbone, wait. How did I... Oh. I'm gonna dream again. Glass. Overcast. You think quietly. A student slides down the banister. Restaurant. You wake up. Alright, so we cried. So 3 more cries. Alright, and that's all the things we're gonna need. So let's start by doing, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4 pisses. I should be marking this off as I go. Okay, dream and blood. Do that. Alright, we need a lot of spit. All but 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Alright. Blood. Blood. Tear, tear. That one and that one. So we've got, we got our sand. Oh gosh. Yeah. I hope that was right. Let's see, did we do blood and tear already? Yes. Okay. Okay, so dust, dust, piss, piss, dust and piss, dust and piss. Okay. That's good. Then mushroom. We want all of them but 2. Let's see, yeah. Okay. We don't have another dust yet. Okay, let's see. So, dream, dream, rain, rain. I've already forgotten what the other rain was for. Alright, sand, 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 sand. And then dust and mushroom. I guess I could be explaining what these recipes are as I'm making them, since I already gave the warning not to watch this if you haven't played the game yet. So that was all my tier 2 recipes. Now we're waiting on some tier 3 stuff to come in. These are all terms I'm making up. And now we're in the part where it like slows down, and then it's kind of just 35 minutes of occasionally checking in. So let's see. Pebble. Okay, so that was our coffee. And coffee's gonna take like, it takes 30 hours in game, and an hour is about 50 seconds, I think. So that's kind of our critical path. Let's see. So take 2 tapers to make a book. I don't think we don't need any more dust. I didn't know how fast you made dust, so I was trying to like avoid paths that use dust at first. And actually, my first idea for this involved making a lot of mushroom meat and just having like a huge pile of shit. But turns out we don't make any shit in this run. I'm brokenhearted. There's sometimes when you go fast. Oh, eyelash and leaf is a twig. We need that. Let's see. So pebble. I've already forgotten what we do with pebble. Oh. Pebble and piss. Well, in that order, we'll make a snail. And then rain and rain and rain and pebble will get us a frog. Yeah, the game I did while I was sick. I just had to close the window. I couldn't let it decay. Also, it was gonna kill my computer. Okay, so I think everything else is gonna take a while. So this is a poem called Snow by David Berman. Walking through a field with my little brother Seth, I pointed to a place where kids had made angels in the snow. Uh-oh, what was that? Is that paper? Salt. Can't do anything with salt yet. For some reason, I told him that a troop of angels had been shot and dissolved when they hit the ground. He asked who had shot them, and I said a farmer. Then we were on the roof of the lake. The ice looked like a photograph of water. Why, he asked. Why did he shoot them? I didn't know where I was going with this. They were on his property, I said. When it's snowing, the outdoors seems like a room. Today I traded hellos with my neighbor. Our voices hung close in the new acoustics, a room with walls blasted to shreds and falling. We returned to our shoveling, working side by side in silence. But why were they on his property? He asked. And that's it. Man, I gotta find the one. Alright, this one's called Classic Water. I remember Kitty saying we shared a deep longing for the consolation prize, laughing as we rinsed in the stagecoach. I remember the night we camped out, and I heard her whisper, "Think of me as a place," from her sleeping bag, with the centaur print. I remember being in her father's basement workshop when we picked up an unknown man sobbing on the shortwave radio. And the night we got so high we convinced ourselves that the road was a hologram projected by the headlight beams. I remember how she would always get everyone to vote on what we should do next, and the time she said, "All water is classic water," and shyly turned her face away. Let's see, I'm going to pause a second. Twig, and... uh-oh, where's it? Paper gets us wood. At volleyball games, her parents sat in the bleachers like ambassadors from Indiana and all their Midwestern schmaltz. She was destroyed when they were busted for operating a private judicial system within U.S. borders. Sometimes I'm awakened in the middle of the night by the clatter of a room service cart and think back on Kitty. Seed and salt will give us bread. The summer evenings by the government lake, talking about the paradox of multiple Santas, or how it felt to have your heart broken. I still get a hollow feeling on Labor Day when the summer ends. And I remember how I would always refer to her boyfriends as "what's his face," which was wrong of me, and I'd like to apologize to those guys right now, wherever they are. No one deserves to be called "what's his face." Civics. She had been the court stenographer in the little village for 2 decades when she disappeared into the mountains. I was part of the search party that day. Snow was pending, and the bare branches looked like mountain antlers on canyon walls. I walked with Glenn from White Moon Insurance for hours through columns of shimmering firs and over frozen ponds and opal tables. Until, arriving at an overlook at dusk, we heard the cracking of a hammer echoing through the burnished valley and saw what looked like the old judge and 12 other men and women pitching camp for the night. So say I'm gonna be embarrassed if I, you know, miss some crafting because of the poems, but not too embarrassed. Let's see. Honey and paper and rain gets us our first letter. This one's called Governors on Sominex. It had been 4 days of no weather, as if nature had conceded its genius to the indoors. They'd closed down the Bureau of Sad Endings, and my wife sat on the couch and read the paper out loud. The evening edition carried the magic death of a child, backlit by a construction site sunrise on its front page. I kept my back to her and fingered the items on the mantel. Souvenirs only remind you of buying them. The moon hung solid over the boarded-up hobby shop. PK was in the precinct house, using his one phone call to dedicate a song to Tammy, for she was the light by which he traveled into this and that. And out in the city, out in the wide readership, his younger brother was kicking an ice bucket in the woods behind the Marriott. His younger brother who was missing that part of the brain that allows you to make out with your pillow. Poor kid. It was the light in the things that made them last. Tammy called her caseworker from a closed gas station to relay ideas unaligned with the world we loved. The tall grass bent in the wind like tachometer needles, and he told her to hang in there, slowly repeating the lot number for the job info line. She hung up and glared at the Killbuck sweet shop, the words that had been running through her head, employees must wash hands before returning to work, kept repeating, and the sky looked dead. Hedges formed the long limousine a Tampa skyline could die behind. A sailor stood on the wharf with a clipper ship reflected on the skin of a bell pepper he held. He'd had mouthwash at the inn and could still feel the ice blue carbon pinwheels spinning in his mouth. There were no new ways to understand the world, only new days to set our understandings against. Through the lanes came virgins in tennis shoes, their hair shining like videotape, singing us into a kind of sleep we hadn't tried yet. Each page was a new chance to understand the last. And somehow, the sea was always there to make you feel stupid. Let's see, I want to just double check and see. So I think we only have one more item to build before we're only building letters, and that is going to be the hammer. So I'll go ahead and queue up for that, I guess. This one's called The Spine of the Snowman. I didn't realize these were all like winter themed. It's not actually snowed here yet, but goddamn, it's been cold and it's feels appropriate. Oh, here we go. And that is the other part of our hammer. Crumbum. Wood and iron. I'm always afraid the ones that are like can be done either way. I'm gonna do it backwards. The spine of the snowman. On the moon, an old caretaker in faded clothes is holed up in his pressurized cabin. The fireplace is crackling, casting sparks onto the instrument panel. His eyes are flickering over the earth, looking for Illinois, looking for his hometown, gnarled heritage, until his sight is caught in its chimneys and frosted aerials. He thinks back on the jeweler's son who skated the pond behind his house, and the local supermarkets with aisles that curved off like country roads. Yesterday the robot had been asking him about snowmen. He asked if they had minds. No, the caretaker said, but he'd seen one that had a raccoon burrowed up inside its head. Most had a carrot nose, some coal, buttons, and twigs for arms, but others were more complex. Once they started to melt... Oh, just dust. Once they started to melt, things would rise up from inside the body. Maybe a gourd, which was an organ, or a long knobbed stick, which was the spine of the snowman. The robot shifted uncomfortably in his chair. The Coahoma County Wind Cults. My dream walked on four legs towards the remote source of a pale yellow letter, only to circle around the cabin where it got there. A black and white cave rainbow arched between two old shoes. Oxygen bounced off the face of a doll, looking for slow, dazzling guts of a life form. There was a moment of clarity when the pages burned in opera glasses like a herd crossing zip codes, or an exhumed idea pressing at the limits of the marquee bulbs. My dream punishes air. Imagining defeat. She woke me up at dawn, her suitcase like a little brown dog at her heels. I sat up and looked out the window at the snow falling in the stand of the blackjack trees, a bus ticket in her hand. Then she brought something black up to her mouth, a plum, I thought, but it was an asthma inhaler. I reached under the bed for my menthols, and she asked if I ever thought of cancer. Yes, I said, but always as a tree way up ahead in the distance where it doesn't matter. And I suppose a dead soul must look back at the tree, so far behind his wagon where it also doesn't matter, except as a memory of rest or water. Though to believe any of this, I thought, you have to accept the premise that she woke me up at all. Alright, so honey and bread and a dream gets us our second letter. That one from Mom. Thanks, Mom. Shout out to all the moms. Oh goodness, this next one's a longer one. Tableau through shattered monocle. His house had white brick balconies, chiseled drapes, and star charts beneath the wallpaper. There was the smell of English plastic and a mud racetrack out back where a smacked up car with garlands of nicks in the paint waited lamely in the paddock. We found a burnt keyboard by the mill race, blackbirds stacked in the cabinets, and heard how the house made little crackling sounds when he got up in the morning to wade through pages of labyrinthine Spanish logic or dismantle chunks of mica. The professor said that a herald on a dirt bike broke up the driveway bearing hill testimony from a cult called The People, and that something felt wrong when he heard of a boat hiss below the planks, and the man say, if my John Adams hand shoots. Let's see. I'm going to pause in the poem to take book, paper, and spit to make letter number 3. Sometimes driveways develop end zones, so more imaginary Swedens can rise from the bottom of the book. But in our historical reassessment of the redcoats, we forget the peace in a name like James or the long, rainy Indian Wars, fought primarily in the nude. The squad feels new in new rooms, and our attention sometimes clots on a detail like this Scotch tape, clear as a highlighted stream, repairing file folders entitled How Car Keys Think, and Not a Still Life, but a Slow Life Then. During investigations into the void may bloom in the mirror like twin wedding dresses on a high, thin bed, but these apparitions are not evidence. They're not even sediment. It's all slush at the fox's feet, a frieze of braille photos of the isotopes. We'd had hot and cold conversations in dead languages for years, yet the installation and plugging in of moons, the slight changes in the rules of tennis, the thoughts that we could be losing forever, never completely crossed our minds. Perhaps it took the marriage of now and then, here in the weeks leading up to football season, to make us realize that in death we are declassified. whether it arrives in European forests that smell like attics or while negotiating a curve by the college library. These words are meant to mark this day on Earth. If there was a book about this hallway, it would start, "There is a road within the home, some pine slats in the corner, and lamps along the walls that give the path an endlessness at night." I remember the day I left the meter man standing in the hall. In my room, I drew his hard apple face as he waited in the cold shade. No matter how slight, it is a scene from history, a scene from the book. Are dreams set in hallways because the perspective is screwed, or because they are long, open, unused stages in our homes? The hallway was a dried riverbed, I dreamed one night, an Indian turnpike on another, and it may have been those things before the house was here. I never heard the meter man leave, but I saw he was gone when I went out to hang his sketch on the wall. Sour furniture polish winds rolled down the dark corridor. Once a fir, where each door now stands. If Christ had died in a hallway, we might pray in hallways, or wear little golden hallways around our necks. How can it still be unwarmed after so many passings? And outdoors it is somehow indoors. Let's see. I don't know. Oh, there it is. Frog, snail, paper. Let's see. I think I may have done something wrong because the letter from your friend. Oh, wait. I think the letter from the neighbor is supposed to take longer than the letter from collections. I mean, it doesn't really matter because the conference letter is kind of the critical path. It's the thing that takes the longest, which is why I was, you know, very desperately pissing very fast at the very beginning to make some sand, and then kind of was not so concerned with time. And let's see, the coffee. So the coffee takes 1 day and like 8 hours. So it's got 6 more hours of game time, which is about 5 more minutes. So, there's our hammer, paper and hammer. That's letter number 5. I'm gonna go ahead and just cue these up. And also, let's see, our last letter needs paper and spit. How did I end up with an extra mushroom? I don't think it matters. Mushrooms don't decay into anything, do they? I think they're their own thing. Yeah, so once we get coffee, we'll have one last recipe, and then you know, might actually get under 40 minutes. I did a test run before this and got like 42 minutes. So, but I'm definitely doing a lot better this time, I think. Unless I've made a horrible mistake. This one is called Narrated by a Committee. The enameled moon rode over the long, cool world as we stepped outside to get some air. Birds from other area codes sang in their Precambrian songs. The light pulse of the seminary faded in the wax trees, and we, the committee, strolled around talking about the burdens of inheritance tax and the elegance of watering cans. We walked between Hill 49 and Hill 50, then over the old river, which was slow and thin for miles before it disappeared underground. At the park's wild core, where lampposts frontier the old dark, we saw fountains remaking themselves over and over again. We saw the night leaking out of western doors, and discussed returning to the committee room, to the oak chairs, ice water, and gavels, when the sound of snapping branches made us turn to see the caribou crossing the Nikon. Cassette County. This is meant to be in praise of the interval called hangover, a sadness not so coterminous with hopelessness, and the North American doubling cascade. That, keep going, this diamond lake is a photo lab, and if predicates really do propel the plot, then you might see Jerusalem in a soap bubble, or the appliance failures on Olive Street as across these great instances, because the complex Italians versus the basic Italians, because what does a mirror look like when it's not working? But birds singing a full tone higher in the sunshine. I'm going to call them honest eyes, until I know if they are, in the interval called Slam Clicker, Realm of Pacific, because the second language wouldn't let me learn it, because I have not heard of you for a time long occasionally, because diet cards may be the recovery evergreen, and there is a new benzodiazepine called Distance. Anti-showmanship, anti-showmanship, anti-showmanship. I suppose a broken window is not symbolic unless symbolic means broken, which I think it sort of does. And when the phone jangles, what's more radical, the snow or the tires? And what does the Bible say about metal fatigue, and why do mothers carry such big scratched up sunglasses in their purses? Hello to the era of going to the store to buy more ice because we are running out. Hello to feelings that arrive unannounced. Hello to the non-functional sprig of parsley and the game of finding meaning in coincidence. Because there is a second mind in the margins of the used book. Because Judas Priest, source Firestone Library, sang a song called Stained Class. Because the world is 66% then and 33% now. And if you wake up thinking, feeling is a skill now, or even, this glass of water seems complicated now, and a phrase from a men's magazine like Single District Cognac rings and rings in your neck, then let the consequent misunderstandings, let the changer love the changed, wobble on heartbreakingly new legs into the street legal nonfiction, into the good world, this warm place that I love with all my heart. Anti-showmanship, anti-showmanship, anti-showmanship. And now we should be very, very close to coffee. So, come on, coffee. Coffee, letter, airlock door, open airlock, yes. And wow, we made much, much better time than I was expecting. It was probably all the poems. The poems probably made it run more good. All right, 35-36. We did it. New world record, maybe, probably. uh, I wonder, the game clock, does it go faster based on your, like, computer, or is it like a, I don't know. Thank you. I'm gonna celebrate by listening to these train noises. Earlier Buckingham made the very good point that if you go really fast, like I think our elapsed in-game time is about 40 hours. Just, I mean, we don't discover the clock, but just going based off of recipe times, it's 40 hours. So it's like we had just like a little like weekend trip to the biosphere. You know, at what cost? We, you know, it's to be seen, I guess. But yeah, cool. Thank you all for joining me here on the internet on this day of American Thanksgiving. Have a lovely evening or whatever time of day it is wherever you are. Good night.